Hi, welcome back to Movie Review Mom. And if this is your very first time here, yay, you found it. You found Movie Review Mom. I'm so glad you're here. And I hope that you like what you see in here and that you subscribe. Also, while you're at it, click on that little notification bell and you'll find out every time I post a new or upload a new movie review or trailer reaction. So my goal is to give you the heads up on movie content as well as filmmaking quality so that you can make the best decision for you and your family as to whether or not you want to spend time and money watching a specific film. So that specific film I'm reviewing today is called It Takes Three. So Gunpowder and Sky releases this romantic comedy on demand and digital on September 3rd, 2021. It's rated R and is an hour and 30 minutes. So I'm going to give you an overview in a nutshell where I'll point out things I liked and didn't like, as well as offer tips for parents, themes worth talking about, and even a movie recommendation I think you'll also really enjoy. Okay, so in a nutshell, It Takes Three is kind of a John Hughes spin on the classic Cyrano de Bergerac story. So if you don't know what that is, look that up. I don't want to give any big spoilers, but this movie actually feels like a 1980s teen movie, which is exactly what the director was going for, who was inspired by films like Ferris Bueller's Day Off and actually had a role in that movie. The synopsis of this movie is when the coolest guy in the school discovers that the new girl sees through his popularity and all of his social media, YouTube stuff, and his good looks, he enlists the class nerd to take over his social media accounts to add substance to his style, make it seem like he's a deeper kind of a guy. Signals are crossed and hearts are broken, but in the postmodern rom-com, nothing turns out exactly as you'd expect. The rom-com is directed by Scott Coffey, who also did Ellie Parker and Adult World. The script was written by Blair Mastbaum and Logan Burdick, and it stars the young actors Jared Gilman from Moonrise Kingdom, Aurora Perrineau from When They See Us, Mikey Madison from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Scream 5, and David Gridley from The Duff. So I hadn't seen any of them in anything, but actually I'm jumping ahead of myself. Let me give you the list of things that I liked. First of all, Jared Gilman. He plays the Cyrano de Bergerac character very well. His character name is appropriately Cy, from Cyrano de Bergerac. David Gridley also does a really great job at being a total superficial douche. And as I mentioned, I'd never seen any of these young actors before in anything, even though they have appeared in other films. I was surprised, especially that I hadn't noticed Aurora Perrineau because she is gorgeous with an exotic look and has this very cool vibe that I'm sure will propel her in her future films. I think she's got a bright future if she wants it. There's original music from some of the director's favorite musicians, which is super cool because in those 1980s films, they also introduced us to new bands and new musicians. And so he was trying to mimic that as well. So he has music from Dean Wareham and his bands Luna and Galaxy 500, Will Sheff and his band Ockerville River, Anya Marina also sings, and she also plays the hilarious principal of the high school and broken social scene. So that's kind of a highlight of the movie too, if you haven't ever heard that music. So fun fact number one, the director welcomed collaboration from the cast, which I always think is really awesome. Everybody has something to bring to the table. Fun fact number two, the movie's original title was Rhino. There's a scene where a girl gives a guy a gift of a rhino because she says that he kind of looks like one. And then later, that rhino scene is also introduced again with some important ramifications. No spoilers here. Blair Mastbaum co-wrote the movie, as I mentioned before, but he also has a role as a teacher in the film. So keep watching during the rolling credits at the end of the movie for some really goofy video clips that the leading characters post on their supposed social media and on YouTube. And so I just thought that that was entertaining. Now, with all of that good praise, there were some things that I didn't like or thought could have been done better. For example, some scenes just simply last too long. Like, for example, when one of the boys dances in his bedroom alone, we get it. He's having a moment. He's trying to figure out who he is and how he moves and what he looks like and all that. But it just kind of dragged on and on. Someone gets locked in a garage. And I thought, really? How do you get locked in a garage? It's super easy to get out. I mean, there's a latch on the inside of the actual garage door. There's often a hanging rope, and there's probably a door button near the door to the house, right? But what the character does instead is overthink it and does something that's actually pretty funny. But I just thought that was an odd scenario. I was kind of getting a big lesbian vibe from one of the female characters. And so the twist at the end kind of surprised me. I thought that that's what they were telling us about this character, but turns out no. So actually, I thought that was kind of strange too. So not a ton of complaints, but let me give you some tips for parents. There is a lot of profanity and a lot of F-bombs as well. Crude conversations and gestures and talk about sex-related things. So it's really rated R and not appropriate for young kids. A girl flips the bird. There are some lesbian parents that are represented. Not that that's a bad thing, just that parents should be aware in case they want to talk about that with their kids. Cleavage and guys looking at cleavage. Talk of gender bias. A teenage boy wants cosmetic surgery, and a creepy internet pedophile is represented. So just a heads up on all of that content. So some themes that are illustrated well are dating, identity and physical appearances, ego and self-centeredness, authenticity, friendship and loyalty, romance, crushes and chemistry, truth, trust, intelligence, the appearance of intelligence, and commentary about social media and the role it plays in these young kids' lives, commentary about feminism and how that actually also helps to influence the thought process of a lot of these female characters and some of the male characters too. So I always write down funny lines and interesting lines and include them on my written review at moviereviewmom.com. So you can go over there and check all of those out. I'll just share a few of them with you right now. So Cy, who's played by Jared Gilman, is laying in bed. He had a catastrophe of what he thought was going to be an awesome date. And his moms walk in and they're like, what are you doing in bed? And he's like, I'm sick, or whatever excuse seems the most believable. And then there's another character played by David Gridley, and he's that douchebag, superficial guy who's completely obsessed with karate and does these YouTube videos and thinks he's all that in a bag of chips. And so his friend's like, hey, let's go surfing. And he's like, dude, I can't be myself anymore. All right. I told you, I got to be a kook now, because he's supposed to be intelligent to attract this girl who has a lot more depth than he does. And then an interesting line is when Roxy, who's played by Aurora Perrineau, says, it's not, she's describing this guy's face, and she says, it's not perfect. Perfect's boring. And so that kind of helps him look at himself differently. And I'll never forget when I was in junior high, and this one guy, I was in a typing class, and this one guy looked over at me. I walked in, I was wearing a skirt and these wedge heels, and he goes, nice legs. And I was so young, I was like, what's wrong with my legs? And I literally went home after school and looked in the mirror, and I'm like, what's wrong with my legs? What did he mean by that? And it took a while for me to realize, guys were looking at me in a new kind of way. And so this is sort of a coming of age type of movie as well. All right. So with some really great elements and some other ones that needed to be tweaked, some of the editing and filmmaking looked like it was, on its way. The ultimate movie review mom grade I'm giving it for filmmaking quality and content is a B-. All right, so let me give you 2 recommendations for films that I loved from the 1980s type of era. Is, of course, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I've seen that 100 times. So funny, so well done. And I could definitely see how this movie was really trying to be like that movie. It was really trying to capture the essence of the fun and the whimsical and the character building that was so great in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And then another movie classic 80s is Footloose from 1984. Love that movie. You've seen that a million times. And of course, there's been a remake on that one as well. But watch the original because it's way better. All right, that's it for my movie review. I hope that if you watch this movie, you get a kick out of it. And be sure and check all of my movie reviews so you can get the scoop on what's happening in theaters and on video on demand. Thanks so much for all of your support, for supporting me at Patreon. I really appreciate it. And tell your friends to come join us over here as I try to grow my channel. Thanks so much. Have an awesome day, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.